this has become very quickly fascinating, horrendously toxic, and to be honest, tragic. That's right, the appointment of Ange Postecoglou at Nottingham Forest by Greek owner Marinakis, however you say it. Ange Postecoglou, he's part Greek. He speaks Greek. I'll get him in. He'll play attacking football. He'll realise my ambition of not only winning the Europa League, because he's the current managerial holder, but indeed getting us up the Premier League table. Bearing in mind they did very well last season. He sacked Nuno Espirito Santo. He decided to side with the new sporting director, and it's not gone well, guys. It is really really bad. The Times are already reporting that he has literally got to save his job, even this one game before the international break, that he could be canned. Fascinating that you could bring someone in this quickly and be like, oh yeah, he's a great coach, you know, we have the Greek connection and everything's going to be all right. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's so toxic, bro. I'm just looking now, yeah. They lost at home to Midtjylland, yeah, last night in the Europa League. Home loss. And I know they had some of the pressure at some points and they were going well, but it's ultimately a home loss to Midtjylland. And my giddy aunt, when they went 3-1 down, before I know Chris Wood got a sort of consolation penalty to, make it 3-2 late on. When they went 3-1 down, Ange put his hands on his head, did that pose, classic pose, and the City ground, the Nottingham Forest fans, so many boos, but so many of them singing, "You're getting sacked in the morning, you're getting sacked," to their own coach. He's been there 5 minutes. And I'm not talking like a small, band of where the ultras sit. I'm talking about thousands of fans singing "You're getting sacked in the morning" to a guy that's been there for some weeks. This is wild stuff. This is wild stuff. And then, of course, rather predictably and kind of understandably, they started singing Nuno's name, who has now been appointed at West Ham. It's so tragic that went south because, and then he went west or east, London. Anyway, point being, it was perfectly set up for Nuno carrying on to play how they played incredibly well, being a respectable team, challenging at the top end of the Premier League table. The fans adored him. It was all going great until, because I'm trying to get my head around it, yeah, because Matt Davies-Adams, I'm a Chelsea fan, almost all of you would know. Matt Davies-Adams is a Chelsea commentator. He also hosts Chelsea podcasts and, guests on other football podcasts, often referencing Chelsea. He's a notorious Nottingham Forest fan. Notorious. Well, he's a Nottingham Forest fan. And he was like, yeah, this is the right thing to do. Nuno's been... And maybe I kind of get what he's saying, that Nuno was at half out the door for a while because of his own comments about the owner and stuff, or how the relationship's broken down. Fine, it may have become untenable, but you should have done everything you can to make it tenable, to continue on with a coach that suits you perfectly, that resonates with the fans. And you've brought in a guy in Ange Postecoglou who's just single-handedly made the whole thing come tumbling down. They're currently 17th in the Premier League, which is where they finished, which is where he finished with Tottenham last season. Yes, he prioritised Europa League, hella risky, it paid off. Bearing in mind, he didn't use his philosophy, his attacking risky football, to win the Europa League. He stanked the gaff out completely and won what was maybe one of the worst European finals I've ever seen, won by a terrible goal. And I don't want to take that away from Tottenham because that would sound like a bitter Chelsea fan. They deserved it, they got the trophy, congratulations to them. But we need to talk realistically about what Ange did. I don't think he did anything to deserve this job, and his philosophy's so radically different to Nuno, and we've seen it in practice in the Premier League fail catastrophically for an entire season. It was an insane appointment. Yeah, I think he's had 6 games, losing at home to Midtjylland. And by the way, can I just highlight how mental this is? Yeah, Midtjylland haven't beaten an English team in 10 years, a decade. Rather hilariously and ironically, it was the other Europa League finalists in Man United. So they had already entered their banter era a decade ago. Of course, it was post-Ferguson. But yeah, so from Man United then, I mean, they were absolutely made up. They were super happy, understandably. You know, they lost at home again to Sunderland, a promoted team. I mean, you could say the 2-2 away draw at Real Betis was like, because they played quite attackingly, it was like a positive moment. But, you know, drawing to Burnley, losing to Swansea in the EFL Cup third round. Like, they want to win a trophy. Like, they do you know what I mean? Like, Forest should be looking at Newcastle winning a trophy, at Palace winning a trophy, you know, at like West Ham winning that conference not too long ago. And they should be looking at this, not getting knocked out of the third round of the League Cup by lower league opposition. Obviously got slapped up by Arsenal, can happen. I mean, I'm trying to, so was that Nuno's game, or was Nuno's last game when he lost 3-0 to West Ham, I think. Anyway, point being, he's had a few games there. He's not won any of them, and it's been absolutely tragic. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Everyone's laughing at them. You know, they've got the clip of the owner saying, "We always win." I know it's a freaking open goal and it's a tap in, but clearly the owner's way too hands-on and involved. It's good that he's really ambitious, that he spends a lot, that he wants to win. His other club does well, you know. So great, you know, great. But you know, all this and I did think it was a little bit like overdone how he went on the pitch with Nuno. I think they tried to Sky Sport, Gary Neville saying like Nuno should resign immediately. But he does clearly have this main character syndrome, Marinakis. Like the press releases about him, Mr. Miller clearly wrote about him, or he's like dictated and approved, like it's to like a parody level. Do you know what I mean? The how they got involved with the Crystal Palace demotion from the Europa League to the conference, so they stole their place. I mean, all's fair in love and war. It's unsavory, unpalatable, but it just seems like it just seems like he's for all the ambition and the high turnover of players and purchasing players because they want to win, which is great. It's like opposite of Mike Ashley at Newcastle. Do you know what I mean? He is throwing all the cash and getting the players, but there's too much main character syndrome there and intervention, and it just seems like such. I know this is going over trodden ground, but there's such a freaking mistake to get rid of Nuno. Now I don't know if Nuno is going to be a success at West Ham, and it's a shame because had he been able to maintain the relationship at Forest, the investment was there for players. Maybe he didn't get the players that he wanted, but I'm not sure if West Ham do have that much money to spend. Maybe, I wish Nuno all the best and success at West Ham and makes them good again, and it will highlight to everyone, yeah, this is the guy. Because of course it's all intrinsically linked, because of course when he managed Spurs it really didn't work. I think he needs to sort of be at that sort of forward, but it genuinely seemed like the perfect gig. Like when he did really well at Wolves, when Wolves were pushing up the Premier League. So they're kind of like Premier League middle class, or middle lower class, but they're pushing above their level into like the sort of top third rather than residing in the bottom third where they sort of natively should be. So Wolves and Forest. So he kind of like overperformed there. But to bring it back to Postecoglou, yeah, bro, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to freaking work. So they've got Newcastle away. Newcastle are well good. Eddie Howe is going to be licking his lips, rubbing his hands together and be like, yep, sorry mate, we're about to get you sacked. Genuinely, I don't see a miracle. You've got Morgan Gibbs-White who got benched for a little bit saying, oh yeah, once we start winning, you won't be able to stop us, trying to get back in the team and say positive stuff about the gaffer. It's all nonsense to me, mate. As far as I can see at the moment, they are going to get slapped by Eddie Howe and his merry men. You're going to have Voltemada, running behind that sort of high line. Anthony Gordon, Alanga, of course, will have a point to prove after, playing against his old club. And it's away, it's St James's Park atmosphere. It's gonna be a bloodbath, and it's gonna get Ange Postecoglou sacked because in his own home stadium, all the fans were booing him, saying you're gonna get sacked in the morning, and singing the previous manager's name. It is tragic. I do feel a bit for Ange Postecoglou. He's a bit of a roller coaster ride. He obviously came into the Prem. He talks himself up a lot, doesn't he? Maybe to a fault, sometimes to his detriment. But look, he got that trophy with Tottenham. He's etched in history. People will forget about the nuance around the size. You know, it'll be an anecdote that they weren't great in the league. The thing was, he got them the trophy, and that will always be the important thing. And he got them in Champions League qualification. Thomas Frank is dining out on that, playing in the Champions League right now for Tottenham. But he's got to go. He's got to go. And then who comes to Forest? Sean Dyche. It's going to be Sean Dyche or someone like that, isn't it? It won't be Graham Potter, obviously. But no, when Marinakis won't hire Sean Dyche, the ego, he won't be thinking, oh, we've got to stay up. He'll be thinking, oh, we've got so much of the season left to get in the Conference League or above qualifications and win the Europa League. Are we thinking we can win the Europa League? I mean, he should do. He should look at his Nottingham Forest team, those players, look at the finalists last season that were on the pitch and be like, yeah, we could win this. That's what Palace were thinking before they got demoted into the conference. I don't know, man. It's a fascinating watch. It's tragic. It's Forest. Let me know your thoughts. Comment down below. Thank you for liking this video and subscribing to this YouTube channel for more. Alright, peace.